And I jumped out from the shadows and I pulled the sword and I pushed that kid against the brick with the sword. And I said, Matthew, are you ready to die for Jesus right now? If not, don't waste my time. I'm a busy man. If you're not ready to die for Jesus, you're not ready to be confirmed. Are you ready?
Oh, here we go.
People love stories. I've heard people give talks, and it's all theoretical quotes from the catechism, theology, and people don't remember it, and they fall asleep. But if you tell stories, the story of the ship and the rafts, the story, you keep people engaged.
You also do the theatrical, though. So, like, I remember in the videos, you're falling in a big old thing of mud. You tell the story about the gladiator. If you want to say that one again, the confirmation one, I mean, that story shows.
The falling in the mud one was where I made the story, our documentary on Mary called Mary, Mother of God. We got 9 of them just for people to know. They're all filmed on location in about 16 countries. And the one I did, Mary, Mother of God, I wasn't happy when we were getting towards the end of how I explained the Immaculate Conception. So I said, I came up with this idea, Janet, I have to fall in a mud puddle. So I found a path, and we put a log in front, and we dug a hole beyond the log and filled it with a plastic liner and filled it up with garden, from Garden Center, the black dirt. And then I came walking toward it, and I said, Mary says that, these are arguments I used to use against Catholics in my old days. Mary says, my soul doth magnify the Lord, and my spirit rejoices in God my Savior. Wait a minute. Only person who needs a Savior is a sinner, so Mary must be a sinner. See? And I say this in the movie. But I said, wait a minute, there are 2 ways to be saved from sin. And let's look at it from a puddle of mud point of view. There's 2 ways to be saved from a puddle of mud. And when I say that, I trip and I fall right into the mud puddle. And then a hand pulls me out. I said, the first way is to be pulled out and cleaned up. And then it rewinds like a video. And I'm coming at the mud puddle again, and I trip again and fall, but a hand reaches out and stops me. I say the second way to be saved from sin is to be prevented from falling in the first place. Now I say any 8-year-old kid can explain the Immaculate Conception to their friend. Just go get a mud puddle, push your friend in, and tell them about the Immaculate Conception.
Oh, I can see my oldest daughter doing that now.
Oh, then the other story I guess you wanted me to say was about confirmation. A family asked me to be the confirmation sponsor for their boy because they had been Church of Christ, and they're really hardcore Protestants, and we worked with them, and they became Catholics. So would you be my sponsor for my son? And I said, no, I can't do it because I travel too much, but I'll meet with them one evening. I have Wednesday free. Oh, one evening, that's good. Please, okay. I said, bring him over at 7. So I had just, there's a thing of the Colosseum here. I had just made a video about the Apostolic Fathers, and it was all started in the Colosseum. And even at that point, you can hire, you guys may have seen them, those soldiers that are there, and you get pictures taken with them. And I hired 3 of them when I was Justin Martyr preaching, they all came over, yelling at me in Italian, and they arrested me and carried me away in the middle of the movie. Showing how the Christians got persecuted.
It wasn't too hard to find an Italian to yell at you.
No. But these guys, they're all hairy arms and big guys. Those fake, they'll dress up like soldiers. They're Roman soldiers. So anyway, so I had a sword because I'd bought a helmet when I made that movie to demonstrate, and I had a sword. So I said to my wife, when that boy comes over, I said, I put my helmet on, and I put the sword. This isn't the Knights of Columbus kind of sword. This is a real sword. I could cut a head off a horse with this thing. If you get enough, I could take the horse's head off. It's a double blade sword. It's a heavy one. So I put it in the scabbard on my belt, and then my wife went and got a red blanket, and she pinned it over one shoulder. So here I am, a Roman centurion with a helmet and a red. So I waited in the shadows of my front porch, and he didn't see me, and he came up the steps, and it was getting dark, and I jumped out from the shadows, and I pulled the sword, and I pushed that kid against the brick with the sword, and I said, Matthew, are you ready to die for Jesus right now? If not, don't waste my time. I'm a busy man. If you're not ready to die for Jesus, you're not ready to be confirmed. Are you ready? Oh, yes, Mr. Ray. And his parents were in the car. You should have seen there. Oh, what did I get our kids into? But I brought that kid in, and I talked to him about what it meant to be confirmed. The Jewish boy at 13 goes through bar mitzvah, and there's no way you're going to convert him out of Judaism after he goes through that. They march through the streets sometimes doing that.
Yeah.
And so this boy, I said, this is what, if you're not ready to die as a martyr for Jesus Christ, tell your pastor you're not ready to be confirmed yet. And so they said that everywhere he went for the next 6 months, he told everybody about Steve Ray and the sword. 'Cause I think I really scared. He probably wet his pants. Yeah, he probably wet his pants.
Sounds like a movie title, Steve Ray and the Sword.
I'm definitely going to play this for our confirmation students.
Sure. Well, it is, because confirmation isn't wearing a white dress and having a party. Confirmation. Well, just look at it from the Jewish perspective. A boy, they don't do, the girls don't, but the boy is circumcised at 8 days, just like a Catholic child is baptized. Baptism replaces circumcision. And a boy gets bar mitzvah. And what is that? Bar means son of. Mitzvah means law. He becomes a son of the law. He's now, up until that point, he can say, I go to synagogue because mommy and daddy make me go to synagogue. But at 13, he's now an adult Jew himself, and he's now obligated to obey the law of Moses on his own. This is why Mary and Joseph lost Jesus on the way back, because he was at that age.
13.
And when you're a child, you travel with your mother. When you are now a man, you travel with your father. And he was 12, so Mary thought that now that he's 12, that age of 13, he's with dad. He thought, well, he's still a boy. And where's Jesus? Oh no, we lost the Son of God. But that 13, they become adult Jews, and they are now obligated to obey the laws of God on their own. And the Orthodox Jews hold them to it. And so this is what our kids get baptized. It's an initiation into the faith, but then a confirmation is where they say, yes, what happened to me back then, I'm now going to live that out. And they are now adult Christians, and they have to be held accountable to being adult Christians. And that should be the focus of their life, who they are. And they should be ready to die for it if they have to.
Yeah, I
My
feel
wife and I teach confirmation class. You guys are going to hear this.
Yeah.
Well, I think I told a lot of priests, I think every parish should have a sword.
Yes. It's for security measures.
And the bishop carries it in for confirmation.
There you go.
Some of those dramatic moments, I mean, we've been able to incorporate it in like youth ministry in the past and things. And I remember we left them all in the complete dark, and we had people wearing black cloaks, and one person had a candle that was moving through 100 kids in the gym at St. Thomas in College Station. At the very end of it, we just left them there and slammed the door. And slammed it hard. As a matter of fact, the metal frame got messed up, and we got in a little bit of trouble, but by Father. But that's okay. It was all worth it. But there were parents that even came to us and said, that really shook our kids up. And we're like, yes, good.
You have to do that today, because our kids are so media driven, watching YouTube and videos and TV and rock concerts, and there's always being stimulated by these things.
Oh, yeah.
So, and then you sit them down and you give them a little workbook and start talking about Jesus, and it's not going to work anymore. You're competing against MTV and YouTube and all these things, and you have to be dramatic.
Yeah. It gets their attention.
You have to get their attention. Yeah. And in other words, if you're used to something coming at you like this all the time, it's good to all of a sudden go, whoop, you make it come at you a different way, and all of a sudden you take notice. So you can't just present the gospel the same. You've got to do things dramatically to get their attention, to shake them, get their attention.
Interrupt their pattern.
And take them out of their comfort zone. Something they're not going to forget. They're going to remember it.
Absolutely.
That's the way we raised our kids.